Do you want to say anything to all the viewers? Wait, what do you have to say about the number 45 model that you tried yesterday?
Oh, good gosh, that thing's insane. That paddle is so good. If Dale doesn't release that in the next, 4 months, I will be a very angry reviewer.
As soon as we lose that, then we'll become irrelevant. Cliche, but my eyes have been opened in the last 2 weeks. So I think we've logged 3 patents and we've got a 4th underway, and then there's at least 2 or 3 more.
Dope. Dude, you want a pink? Ooh, double pink.
What is that?
What? Starburst?
Oh, right.
When was the last time you had a Starburst?
I don't know. Yeah. Need to do some workout though, getting fat.
What do you usually do for your workouts?
I haven't done much all year because I've just been working. Some weeks are just bloody 7 a.m. till 10 p.m, you know.
Yeah.
Been doing what you need to do.
Yeah. Oh, damn, that's good.
What?
That pink Starburst. All right. Welcome to another episode of Bill and Pickleball. You're the first guest to reappear in an episode, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, this is episode, I think this is 27. Mm-hmm. Episode 27 or 28, depending on if I want to.
Yeah, man, you've been working hard. It's a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's some people that make it easy and some people that make it hard. And you make it easy because you have shit.
I don't know. We'll see.
Good shit to talk about. Yeah, Dale Young, founder of 6-0. If you haven't seen the first episode, then I would highly encourage you to watch that. I'll link it in the video below, in the video description below. But that one's great because that's when I truly met Dale for the first time, and I got to talk to him and have a conversation with him, really understanding who he is in his background and his backstory. Spending 10 years in Africa. We've probably spent 20 minutes talking about that, and then talking about the technology you've developed, which at that time I really didn't know anything about paddles. I still don't really. When you were talking at the ambassador event about all that stuff, I had all that stuff was going right over my head. But yeah, dude, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
But also, we're at Nationals right now, so that's why we're in this hotel room, which this guy booked.
Yeah, we booked an extra night because our boy Jaume Martinez Vich has made it through the finals of the national singles, and he put on a display today.
Hunter only scored 7 points total.
Yeah, it was flawless. I think Jaume made 2 errors, and that's the best Jaume's played, and I think that's the best I've ever seen anyone play singles. So let's hope he can bring it tomorrow. I mean, he certainly turned it up for me this week. This is my first trip to the States in over a decade. This pickleball biz has sort of gone a bit nuts for me personally in the last 12 months. And I thought it'd be time to come and see what all the fuss was about, pickleball in the States, where all these paddles going. And I've been hanging out here since MLP. And that feels like a lifetime ago, and it was only last weekend, and then we stayed on for Nationals this week. MLP, that was a great event. I was super impressed. I was not actually expecting it to be so well organised, and just the accessibility to the players. They're right there. You can, walking past you, playing right in front of you.
Cool because
you can go up, you can chat to them. It's awesome.
It's cool because there aren't any amateurs playing too, so they don't have all that. There's just so much riffraff going on at an event like Nationals, right? Yeah. So the accessibility to the pros is super
and cool. Everyone, I was surprised at how, I think they need to sort of sort out that format where you really get behind a team, because it's at the moment you're getting behind your players, but they sort of need to get that following behind a team. Like, what's the reason for me to follow New York Hustlers? Not just because two of my players are in there, but like, you know. So, but you know, because I had some tie to a particular team, because I had Jaume, and then we've got an up and coming female who grew up in Australia as well, Kelsey Grandview. She debuted for the New York Hustlers, absolutely, you know, killed it. Had a great event, and so that was awesome, sitting courtside and getting involved in the drama of MLP. And then like this week we've rolled into nationals. It's been a crazy week.
I'm exhausted. I've only been here for 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I don't know. I can't imagine how you feel.
I'm pretty exhausted. I mean, we're in an Airbnb, and then they bloody shut the water off, so we had to move like locations into a hotel, and then we moved to another hotel, and like in between, Jaume's been training and then getting invited to Tom Dundon's house, doing sessions with Anna Lee. He's been playing a lot of mixed with Anna Lee in the last week as well.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so some of these top players are, starting to see that he's really improved a lot in doubles as well.
That's usually what happens, right? It's easy for them to.
No,
relatively
easy to flick. Like, there's a big vetting process.
Yeah, like the singles part, they like get through that, and then like the real test is usually like doubles. I feel like.
Yeah, and you got to do your time before like someone will like sort of bring you into the fold. But if Anna Lee's like requesting you to play with her, then that's a big boost. Yeah.
That's a good sign. Damn.
Yeah. So we got the finals tomorrow, and
they finished that game, right? Did J-Dub win?
Yeah, J-Dub won. Yeah, straight. So that'll be tough. Like J-Dub's, he's solid, and you just don't know what you get with that guy. He's like no emotion, just ice cold.
I feel like you can't really tell where he's like about to put the ball either, because he moves at the last minute because he's so fast. And they've like done studies about that. But like if you're quicker, which we talked about previously about how he like works out and like he trains that whole group.
Yeah.
Like Gabriel, Dylan, and all them.
It's the best group and the best training squad in the world for sure. And if you want to make it as pro as an up and comer, do your best to get in that squad.
Because they're in such like good physical and mental shape.
They're disciplined and they treat it as a business.
Yeah.
And they've got tacticians, you know, real qualified coaches who've been doing pickleball for a couple of years and can read the game. His
mom's an OG.
Yeah, that squad, their wrist snaps are like unbelievable. James Ignatowicz, Tardio, and Dylan and J-Dub. Their snaps their snaps are a level above everyone else, and players can certainly take a leaf out of that.
There's a young cat named Jack Monroe who's saying that that's going to be the next like big thing. That's like who his like prospect was for like 2024. Is more wrist snapping. You're going to see it from like younger players.
J-Dub doesn't even move his arm. He's like sitting there, and it's just like the ball is like it's the last split, and then he snaps his wrist, and the power that comes off it, it's impressive to see.
Especially if it comes off of Franklin.
Well, they had to make him a new paddle for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Franklin when they're going to bring something innovative out. And,
it shows that money can't buy you everything. They have tons of money, but they can't get the technology.
I don't understand like why these big brands aren't investing in an engineer or a product development. Like it beggars belief. Like, yeah, I mean, we've talked about that as well in terms of like brands that have risen this year and brands that have fallen, and it's really those brands who haven't innovated, who haven't kept up with the pace of what the best paddle tech is. And it's not hard to keep up because they can all bloody copy.
Yeah.
And everyone else is copying. There's been 1,000 garage brands start up using thermoform tech in the last 12 months. So there's really no excuse for those big brands not to be on that leading edge.
How are you making sure that like your stuff that you're working on now, because we went to this ambassador event, that was awesome. We can get into that, but like how are you making sure that your technology doesn't get...
So, you know, for those who don't know, the carbon seam around the edge of a thermoform paddle originated from 6.0, and we really should have patented that technology. So any new innovations that and every brand's using that now. So yeah, any new innovation, there's been patenting. So I think we've logged 3 patents, and we've got a 4th underway, and then there's at least 2 or 3 more that I've got to write up. But there's a lot of work in putting a patent together.
Rafa was
and
talking
then
about
there's
that.
a long time between submission and granting.
Yeah.
And it's a process, and then it's in between, a company might ignore and decide that they're just going to copy anyway and run the gauntlet of being sued down the track.
What happens if a patent is in process of being like approved? Like you've already submitted it. What if someone does that? Like a company, instead of like waiting till it to be denied or approved, they just do it while you're in.
Well, I'm not a legal expert, but my understanding is that once you lodge a patent and it's patent pending or under application, then it's logged. So if somebody comes and follows and tries to copy what you believe you've patented, then you can send them a notice and say, hey, look, we've already got this under patent, please stop, or cease and desist is what the lawyer terminology would be. You can also license, do a licensing agreement, but it's generally, if they choose to ignore, then once the patent's granted, then you can take action, and then they can be penalised. So they'll be penalised on any revenue they've generated, and it might be a multiple of that revenue.
Yeah.
So I think I was forwarded some research where like an average patent infringement law case is 4 years in the making. So you got 2 years to get granted, then it's another 2 years battling in court. It's an average of $2 million lawsuit for a $4 million return. So it's got to be substantial to move forward.
Yeah. That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But we can talk about the pads before we talk more about the paddles, which is super sweet. So the ambassador event, you, Bodie, your entire team held that ambassador event, which was that yesterday? It's been
Last night.
Dude, it's been a long days.
Yeah.
And then you had that event, and then I feel like a lot of... Quick message from one of my favorite sponsors. Actually, the reason they're my favorite sponsors is because I was wearing their clothes even before I started this YouTube channel. If you're like me, you're tired of wearing that thick, really heavy cotton t-shirt. It's uncomfortable, it's itchy, it's heavy, it's not really breathable, and it's not really versatile either. What I really like about Vuori is you can buy one of the t-shirts and wear it in whatever you're doing. Maybe you're going out to dinner. Maybe you're going out to play a sport. Maybe you're just lounging at home. What's great is that material feels good throughout the entire day. Whether it's the shirts or pullovers, they're all really lightweight and super soft, which makes it great for any activity. Go to vuori.com/buildingpickleball and you'll receive 20% off your first purchase, as well as free shipping on any orders of $75 or more, as well as free returns. Enjoy the rest of the show. Some people didn't know what to expect, and some people were like, cool, he's gonna talk about the Infinity. But then you also talked about the Ruby, and then you also had a ton of prototypes, which Chris Olsen got a hold of one of the prototypes, number 45, and that I haven't seen a ball travel that fast, off a serve, in person. And it wasn't just me, his brother was even that's insane. And then Jeff Lee was playing, they were just
that thing's a bazooka, so yeah. It flies.
But
there's each paddle has its own unique characteristics. So that one has got next level power and spring or pop off the face. But with that, then you've got that generally when you've got a power paddle, then you're compensating the control side. So, that thing, you literally, if you can't even do arm swing. If you just a little wrist on your ground strokes, and it's like boom. So at the net, it's lethal for sure. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see where USAPA take their guidelines moving forward.
Power test.
Well, the constitution of restitution, or as Ben Johns has been pushing, the velocity in and out off the face of a paddle is something they're looking at. I mean, the whole USAPA seems to be a complete mess at the moment in terms of their ability to administrate guidelines and rules, and then you've got different tests being done between different competitions like MLP to PPA. You've got paddles failing in MLP, passing in PPA, and vice versa. It's completely confusing for players and manufacturers. And then on top of that, you've got technology which is pushing the boundaries or deliberate. Some might say deliberately or question. Asking questions of the existing guidelines by purposely designing around them.
Yeah.
And I think that's just going to cause a reaction of a change to the guidelines. But then it's like, well, how's that going to impinge on the existing approved paddle list and those that have passed a paddle that may not pass in the future guidelines? It's a real minefield, and at the MLP, there was, from all accounts, dozens of paddles that failed. And then those same paddles have come to nationals this week and passed. It's just ridiculous. And it's the same friction test, the same machine, same Starrett. So I don't know what's going on, if there's a calibration issue or what, but it's highly confounding.
Yeah, that would suck to be a paddle company, because if you are putting out products that have been approved by USAP, and then you've sold a countless number of them, and then it turns out in the testing process, oh yeah, this particular brand, this particular model is now banned. That's a retroactive ban.
I don't think they can do that. I mean, they're going to be liable. If they've passed something, so the new gearbox, for example, which a lot of people have questioned. I mean, they've passed it, so if they get retrospectively banned, I think they're going to. I mean, surely Gearbox will take action. If there was an issue, they should have addressed it up front.
Yeah, you played with it though. What'd you think of the Gearbox?
Look, it's not for me to say.
Just from a player perspective.
Don't put me on the spot like that.
I'm gonna clip this part.
I mean, I've looked at the technology. I've looked at what's under the hood, and kudos to Raphael, I believe the owner is in Gearbox, for thinking outside the box. And I think innovation in the sport's fantastic, and having people with different lines of thought it just progresses the sport forward. And if some of these actions then require the administrative organisation to make real changes, and so be it. I mean, it's happened in other sports like squash and even tennis, I think, having to put some further boundaries around. Do I think that the gearbox is dangerous? No. Do I think it speeds the game up in certain aspects? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I think it's an all-court paddle? That's to each player to determine. But the one I hit was I won't provide my personal judgment.
That's probably a good call.
Yeah.
I tried to set you up there. You passed. Dude, you want to talk about the Infinity was released on Friday. That was also yesterday, so I will try to get my shit together here. The Infinity, the Ruby, and then the Ruby's the Kevlar one. What's the deal with that? What's the deal with Kevlar?
Well, so we'll be first to market with a full 100% DuPont USA-made Kevlar face.
Okay.
The deal with that is that face plate provides a subtle yet notable difference in performance. It has a 3K cross-hatched weave, and that, in my opinion, that adds another lift in spin with your peel ply texture. So in general, the properties that define Kevlar over, say, carbon is that the Kevlar is going to be more high impact. It has a higher impact resistance. It's technically a more durable material.
Okay.
So it will last longer and not wear down as quickly. And in terms of playability, we noticed that it really has an extra. You get an extra level of grab and feel over the ball. It really sort of grabs the ball. But then contrasting with that is this nice crisp pop that comes with that. So it sort of fits between the double black diamond carbon paddle, which is more on the control side, and our black diamond raw fiberglass paddle, which is on the power side. So you get this nice combination of power and control.
Okay.
So and on top of that, it's just a damn sexy paddle. Like it is very, very nice looking paddle.
It sticks out.
Yeah, it's going to stand out for sure. Whether Kevlar ends up replacing carbon, I don't see a fast transition. Like, I think it's going to be a niche product until the majors decide to make a play in that area.
So it sounded like there's like the durability, like the longevity of that face, like the Kevlar lasts longer than, I guess if I'm putting it like layman's terms, it's not like grit. Like, you know how people with like the carbon, they're talking about like, oh, the grit's like wearing down. That's not going to happen as quickly with Kevlar?
I don't think so. So you've got your peel ply, which adds a texture. So it's like a sheet or a non-stick sheet that has a texture. Generally, it has to be woven because it's a cloth. It's a cloth or material itself. And that's why when you see those microscopes, people think it's the carbon cloth, but it's actually the impress of what the peel ply cloth is. And then you can get different grades of peel ply cloth that can provide a rougher or a deeper imprint, or a smoother or shallower imprint. And then it can be in different. It can be in whatever pattern or weave can be done. So, for example, the Pro XR paddle, they've got a very unidirectional weave on their peel ply, which has got quite marked ridges vertically aligned along the paddle, which in a certain direction will generate really good spin. And the reason that paddle is passing the Starrett is that it's very high reading on one direction, but the other direction it's very low. And then they average that out and it's coming in within a legal limit. But getting back to answer your question, the underlying cloth, so in a normal standard unidirectional carbon plate face, all these strands are aligned in unidirection in one direction. So with the Kevlar, it's a cross weave, so those strands that go up and under and so forth will create little ridges and troughs in its own. And then you overlay the peel ply and imprint another texture on top, so you're getting this complex texture created. And which I believe lifts the performance in the initial phases of use, and then you're going to get a longer term residual texture underlying as well.
Probably because like if it's like the unidirectional one, like there's like less amount of, I guess, like fibers, but if like you're doing the crosshatch, you're involving like more like material per like square, like per like that surface area. If the ball were to make contact with it, right? You'd have like more touch points in a way.
Well, I guess so.
Oh,
yeah.
That's how I'm understanding it. I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to this stuff, so I need to break it down. I need to break it down like when I'm a 5-year-old.
I mean, there's many different weaves that you can get. Like I think Diadem's released an 18K.
Yeah.
It has sort of a 3D sort of impression.
Oh. it
So
does.
to answer your question, the answer would be yes so when you're talking about cloth per se, my understanding is, for example, a 300k cloth has it relates to the weave count. So a 300k cloth has far less strands per unit area than, say, a 700k versus an 1800k. So you're getting a much finer weave. Mm-hmm. It's a higher quality product and should, in theory, be it's more expensive and more durable. But the different weave patterns used in carbon are generally for creating different end results in terms of flex, ability to move the cloth over corners or ridges. It can be used to, if you're trying to get, like I said, certain mechanical properties for your end use. So a unidirectional, I think you probably talked about this. I haven't seen the full RAF interview, but he goes into a bit of that, doesn't he? About talking about if you've got a unidirectional cloth in one direction, it'll be very stiff in one plane.
Oh yeah, the degrees.
And it will be flex in the opposite plane.
That was really interesting.
Yeah.
That was cool.
And I think certainly, like, that's what we play around with on our edges at different angles. For
You and your dad?
Yeah, well, more in the factory phase.
Wow.
But with my dad, we'd just mainly been looking at different core properties in the last 12 months.
That's sweet. How old is your dad?
He's 80.
What the hell is he doing? If I was 80, that would probably be like something that would be incredibly like fulfilling. It's like,
yeah,
he gets to work with you
he's started playing pickleball this year. He's really getting into that, and
damn.
I think he just enjoys tinkering and helping out his son, and it's awesome.
Where did that come from him, the tinkering side?
Oh, he's a builder by trade.
Oh, speak of the devil, it's Chris Olsen. We gotta pick this up. Christopher, you're on speakerphone, and you're also like semi in this podcast now.
Oh, I'm in a podcast. Oh, I always seem to find a way to make it into your podcast.
How convenient, dude.
How convenient. Okay, well, I'll make this quick.
Do you want to say anything to all the viewers?
Is this a 6-0 podcast?
Yeah.
I will be on the next 5 episodes of this podcast, and this was only the start, just so everyone knows.
Actually, wait, what do you have to say about the number 45 model that you tried yesterday?
Oh, good gosh, that thing's insane. That paddle is so good. If Dale doesn't release that in the next, 4 months, I will be a very angry reviewer.
Really? Oh, I didn't even think it was...
You've got a timeline now, Dale. I need you to get on it.
Okay, I'll try.
Good.
Damn, I didn't even think it was... I didn't think that one was really, market ready, but if you want to...
Oh, it's like 80% market ready.
All right. Well, it's going to cause a stir.
Oh, it will cause a stir. It'll be great.
The game will shift.
You know, I'm kind of enjoying not being the spotlight at the moment with the gearbox, right?
Well, if you're not making some noise, people forget. So you got to make some noise.
Yeah. All right.
That's great. All right, I'll let you guys get back to it.
Sounds good. See you in a bit, buddy.
Yep, see ya. Bye.
Later.
Ciao.
All right.
Where are we up to?
Oh, we're talking about your dad. Tinkering. Where did that come from him? What did he do for work?
Oh, yeah, he was a builder. And then he's been retired for 15, 20 years. But
What was he building?
He likes to stay busy, so I keep giving him things to do.
Damn. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the worst part about that you see what happens to a lot of older people is they stop doing things.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, that's why.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
But he enjoys and needs to do something, so.
Good. Keeps his brain active.
Exactly, and he's been a great help, and him and his buddy sort of bounce ideas and make their own little prototypes as well. And And then we got a composites engineer that we also work with, who's a guru in computational modelling. So I've been doing a lot of work with him and just really sort of trying to look forward to where the industry's going and trying to stay ahead and looking at what's the end point for paddle technology. And it's kind of fun and it's a good challenge, and it's like, you know, here's this little backyard Australian operation, you know, trying to take it to the big guys. Yeah, and it's like, effort, why not try? Like, I don't see a lot of innovation being done by many people in the industry.
Yeah.
So there's a niche and there's an edge that we can have at 6-0, and something that we can contribute to pickleball.
The most watched videos I've made or like been involved with creating with founders is yours, Vatic. It's the niche people. It's the smaller brands, right? There's you guys just like I talked about it like when we were in the car, but there's like a certain kind of magic that you guys create. It's just you guys being you, but you guys are certainly like talented about what you do, and it's not something you can just buy. Like they can't just like come at it from like a top-down approach. You just can't throw money at it. It's something that came from a grassroots. So
It's interesting. Like, I mean, I don't necessarily see ourselves competing with others, but it certainly is a competitive space.
That's a good way to put it.
And we just got to keep doing what we do and keep getting better at it, and just step by step aiming to improve and to do better what we do well. And that's our space is innovation and progression and creating a quality product and a high-end performance product. That's where we have to focus, and that's where we got to keep pushing. As soon as we lose that, then we'll become irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just more meaningful when it comes from you guys, though, because that's what like pickleball is. It's like a community, like small, like niche.
Oh yeah.
That's what people care about.
I mean, I've had, you know, cliche, but my eyes have been opened in the last 2 weeks, and in a positive way. I didn't realise how much of an impression we have made in the industry until I've come here. I thought no one sort of knew who we were, but you know, it's surprising that how many people seem to know who we are and know who the brand is. Seen a bunch of paddles being used of ours in nationals.
Yeah, look at nationals. When I was going around Austin, man.
You know, suddenly getting, you know, approached by PPA and MLP reps to get involved with the tours, and yeah, I mean it's awesome. Certainly feel very privileged and grateful for the standing that we are in at this point. And as I've been saying to everyone this week, I was also feeling a large sense of responsibility with that as well, to take advantage of the great start that we've had. I think, you know, in a way, the timing was really ripe for us when we came in with the thermoformed edge technology. The market was ready for it. It's sort of been a stagnated sort of 20 years of not too much evolution. You saw, you know, was it Electrum sort of launched that, Engage Electrum sort of launched raw carbon. And carbon was a little bit in that area with the raw carbon faces, the Gen 1 paddles, and then Euler introduced the foam edge and the aero curve shape. And then we came along and added to that with the carbon seam edge and you know, our flared design.
And your shape too, right?
Yeah. So, so like we've added our bit, and we don't want to leave it there. We want to, you know, continue to add and evolve the sport in a positive way. Though I'm not here to try and bend rules or get around rules. It's like, you know, and I think, yeah, you can go down a whole rabbit hole talking about that stuff, to be honest, because the guidelines are in general pretty plainly written out, but then there seems to be some ambiguity around some of the terminology and things that can be done. For example, the types of materials that can be used internally or externally on the paddle seem to be open to some interpretation.
What's your thoughts on EVA foam? That keeps coming up. Did you guys ever experiment? Well, you guys had to have experimented with it, huh?
Yeah, we played a little bit with EVA foam. It's not my favourite material.
Why?
Why? I don't think it's overly durable. I personally think that the way that it plays doesn't allow for full control over a ball, if that makes sense. But I mean, certainly it's highly used in the padel industry. I mean, I also didn't go down the EVA front to date because if you're using a full EVA core, you're not going to pass deflection, right? So,
what's the result that people are seeking from using EVA foam?
I think they're trying to. Well, I mean, EVA foam has great acoustic properties in terms of it doesn't create a loud noise. It's fairly cheap. It's simple to make.
Yeah.
And it gives a really nice trampoline type effect, so you get good power as well. And it's light. You can get different density EVA foams as well. But yeah, I mean, in terms of solid core materials, there's other core materials which I have been focusing on personally, and it's really up to the end user to determine in the future whether they are more preferable or not compared to, say, an EVA foam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think that's certainly a direction that the industry is probably going to chase is internally looking at the different core materials. Certainly something we've been focusing on this year, and like I said, we're up to prototype 60 plus, and each of those paddles has got something different internally, and we just then go and play with them and iterate and try and sharpen the pencil on what works and what we can potentially take to market. And I think that will benefit the industry because those cores should be more durable, and the playing properties are as good or potentially better than existing polypropylene cores.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I've also heard that there's some other. It's almost like we had 20 years of no innovation, and then in the last 12 to 18 months, it's just like boom, and then a couple of companies have really started to push the envelope, and it's like, and then that's put pressure on the bigger other companies. Now they're starting to invest into R&D, and those that are will benefit, and those that aren't, I don't know what their model is other than to copy, or just hope that what their existing products will continue to sell. But I'm aware of some bigger players that are looking to come into the industry and potentially going to introduce whole new, completely different manufacturing processes to produce paddles. And I guess thermoformed or hot mold production was a first step in that direction, and then there's a couple of other options that you can look at, like injection molding or one-piece molding or two-piece molding, different ways of edging, and then I think we really start getting into computational modeling about looking at detailed flex patterns around paddles and looking at how dynamic modeling off the face of the paddle and things like that.
Does this all come from your engineering background?
It comes from engineering, it comes from deep diving and researching and just learning as much as you can around the industry that you're working in. It comes from doing, it comes from talking to other experts in their fields and it comes from visiting factories and also other, and leveraging from other industries and their technologies as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like something I got to see with like Raphael. Was like he's like, he doesn't call himself a pickleball brand. He talks about more like composites, and he also, it's pretty cool. He showed me like a longboard. So like longboards are always like typically, you probably pretty familiar with like just board structures from like surfing too.
Yeah, I mean my background
like
is
a carbon
surfing
fiber.
and from the water more than tennis.
Yeah.
And I've worked in a surfboard factory as a junior, so all that experience helps.
Yeah.
And I think there's some parallels or some of the tech that's been used in the surfboard industry can be brought across into.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing that. I think Carbon's got an epoxy core concept paddle that they're looking at.
I haven't tried their concepts out. Chris did, because there's like Nam is like their head of innovation right now, and he's like been around nationals, and yeah, they were talking about. He said that whichever one paddle, I don't know if it's that one that you're speaking to.
Yeah, I think it's I forget. Yeah, it's a polystyrene or an EPS core or something like that. But there's that. I mean, what do we got? This is one of the ones that we've prototyping, number 32. We just try to keep standard across each prototype, certain characteristics, like in this case the face plates are all standard. We're not really interested in how much spin this paddle's going to generate. It's more, how does the feel of the ball come off this paddle? What's the power generated? What's the control? How does it perform across the paddle face? Things like that.
Is durability something you guys prioritize too?
Well, certainly,
Core.
like I said, these paddles should be more durable than a polypropylene.
Yeah, like the core durability.
At the end of the day, I think with thermoforming, we've seen that people prefer performance over durability. I mean, there's so many market segments within pickleball, and there's millions of users now. There's a certain segment that the certain segment will value performance over durability, and there's a certain, probably larger segment that will value durability over performance.
Yeah.
I can't judge what demographics they are, but I would guess that, for example, a retiree person might value durability more than a high-end competition player who is trying to chase performance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually like the people a little bit like below the competition who are just like everyday players, but they're not really concerned with like that competition level. But they just want something where like if they pay for it, they want it to last more than 3 months. I've seen that in a lot of videos now. That's just what.
I mean, I think the scale up of any new manufacturing process is going to have some teething problems, and I think thermoform paddles saw that with the initial batches were delaminating. I think some factories were probably trying to rush out paddles by setting off the epoxy at a high temperature, so that the time in the oven was reduced, and that then caused the polypropylene core to distort. Yeah, so I think there's been some learnt lessons from, and factories generally seem to get that information shared or work out what's working, what's not fairly quickly. It's an interesting space, the Chinese manufacturing sector. It's highly competitive within themselves. They're all chasing clients. They're all trying to poach IP from each other as well.
Yeah.
Or they're selling IP internally, and it's a real minefield in itself. So the factory that we're working with now is a family-owned business, and I've instilled a really strong importance around protection of IP now. After what happened to us 12 months ago.
Yeah.
And that comes down to them not sharing with any other factory where they get their molds made, Everything is done in-house as much as possible. And then also respecting a brand's IP compared to other brands. So, we'll develop a product and it'll get onto the forums, and then next thing, people are emailing and demanding that they have that the factory makes them the same product that we've developed, and there seems to be little understanding to no respect about how much work goes into developing a new product and the IP behind that.
Yeah.
And certainly factories need to respect that if they want to work with 6.0.
How hard is it? Because I remember in the first conversation we had, you talked about like, oh yeah, we're going to explore what it would be like to manufacture in Australia after it's been quite some time
Yeah.
now. Like, how difficult is it?
It's difficult in Australia just because we're not geared up for manufacturing. Like, after visiting a recent visit to China, you just realise how everything is nested in the one location, in the one region, and all of those resources are just at the fingertips. If you want a mould machined or a custom piece of machinery built, all of those supporting sectors and industries are there at your fingertips, and you can tap into those networks, and you can develop a new product line or tweak a process. Whereas if you're in Australia, some of that work might have to be outsourced to China, and it's just the timelines are going to stretch. Cost of labour is significantly more. And then, it's whether the government is also supportive and providing a supporting framework around manufacturing in terms of taxes, duties, red tape, and all that stuff. Certainly the new products that we're looking to push or move into can be made anywhere and fairly simply, and it certainly begs the question of, do we shift that outside of China for some of that production, and potentially to the USA as well. But I haven't haven't had time to really think about that step yet. It's a big step, and it would take some time to set that up.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, what you don't realise is it's not only a big investment, but it's also having the uniformity of production and knowing that you're going to have a guaranteed monthly, smoothed out production curve, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you've launched a product and it's in the market and whether it takes off or not. So it's a big risk.
It's been interesting. When you talk about that reminds me of Elon's latest interview that he was on with Rogan. It's just talking about, like, Joe was like provoking questions about what manufacturing is like. Why is it so why is the production of the Cybertruck so difficult? And he's like, dude, the designing is actually the easiest part.
Yeah.
But he's like, the production is the most difficult part.
The production lines for that thing would be, they'd all have to be re-customized and rebuilt, and that thing. I saw one of them yesterday. They're nuts. Oh, it looks 100 times better in person than on TV. It's sharp. I wasn't even a fan of the design. I thought, this thing's boxy. Yeah. Yeah, but it was pimp.
Damn.
Yeah.
Kind of like that Oscar Mayer Wienermobile at Nationals.
That thing's dope too. We've been dribbling on for enough. I've dribbled on a fair bit.
I'm hungry. Are you hungry?
I'm hungry.
All right. The ambassador event was awesome. Being able to see, like, how many ambassadors did you say you guys have?
I don't know if I want to say.
Oh. I'll delete that part. I'll mute that part. It was cool, man. That was like, I haven't been to an event like that yet, but basically, actually, I'm going to release the video on that, but it was just great to see that and, like, connect with different people. Like, again, you put together a community within an already existing community. You just, like, brought people together, and then people got to, like, meet and see what you guys have been working on, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice to see a strong turnout, and it was just really a casual meet and greet and opportunity to geek out on paddles. And I'm really stoked that you guys and the reviewers came and put an effort in. And John Q flew out. Chris Olsen came. Shout out John Q. And Will was there as well. And it was awesome.
Chris's psycho brother. Isaac Olsen. We're not going to keep calling him Chris's brother. Yeah, if you see Chris's brother, don't call him Chris's brother. Please call him Isaac.
I think he's got a complex. I would too, probably. It's hard being in the shadow.
He's taller than him too.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, he thinks he's the better looking one too.
He thinks he's a better player too, I think.
Yeah, well, maybe we should that should be Chris, Isaac, singles. Want to see it? Put it on YouTube.
Yeah. Isaac was there, Jeff Lee, John Q. It was cool to meet, it's cool to see Jaume, and I always forget her name.
Kelsey.
Yeah. Kelsey. And Kelsey.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of, your top ambassador too.
Yeah. Dalton Hess.
That dude puts in work. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing what some of our ambassadors have been doing.
They're gonna try and poach him now.
Yeah,
but they can't.
That might be the next thing, is like ambassadors being poached.
Yeah, man, dude, I appreciate this. The past couple of days, I was only supposed to come to nationals for literally 2 days. It was me the 10th for the meet and greet, and the 12th. I was gonna drive back to Austin on the 11th, and then come back.
Yeah, I was gonna go with you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was that too. Yeah. You were gonna come back, and then, but this all worked out because.
Yeah, now we're just following Jaume.
Yeah, we're really
big
just...
Big day tomorrow. Fingers crossed. If he pulls it off, it's going to be a big party.
Damn. This will be his first nationals title, but he's won gold before.
This is his first nationals. He literally started playing
first nationals.
Like this time last year, or didn't really get into comps till January. So it's been
How did you guys meet?
He reached out on Instagram.
Just slid into your DMs?
Yeah, just solicited himself. Like many other people do. I was like...
What'd you see in him, though? That
Hunger.
Okay.
And, we just hit it off pretty early, and I was like, I'm going to give this guy a go because he wants it. He also had some good results, obviously. Early on, I think he might have had some good early results, like some close finishes against some top guys. I think he also beat a few of the top 20 players, and he had a good pedigree in tennis as well. And I just saw there was something there that he wanted to finish. Yeah. So, they say, pickleball's all about doubles, but I think singles is underrated and probably will come up in stature and following. I actually think singles is more enjoyable to watch than doubles in many cases.
Less dinking.
I mean, today's match was electric. Like, if you can't enjoy that match, then there's something wrong. It was, plus it's over in 20 minutes.
Unlike this podcast.
Yeah, well, this probably should have ended 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I tend to draw things out, but this is awesome, man. We need to go grab some barbecue.
Yeah.
Have you had barbecue in the States?
We had it last time.
Oh, you did? Oh yeah. Jesus Christ, dude. I need to get some sleep.
Yeah.
I haven't had a nap in forever, but all right. Oh, we didn't even go over how I didn't realize that checkout was today.
Yeah, that was bad. We checked out at Airbnb and he left all his bags in the room, went to Nationals and then got an angry phone call from the owner and he had to drive back and pick your bags up.
Yeah, I had all my shit there. Yeah. Anyways, let's go see Chris Olsen. Let's bother him.
Yeah, let's go annoy Chris.
Alrighty.
Ciao.